Well, hey everyone, my name is Nathan Jones, and if you're new here, welcome. I like to talk about all things movies, specifically Blu-rays, and today we are doing another film journey. This time we have my good friend Frank Getz, and he is a good friend from Twitter, and I am super happy to have him on. I've been talking to him for a half an hour and we've been talking all things movies and music, and so I'm excited to talk to him today about his own film journey. Frank, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing, Nathan?
I'm doing great. I actually just got out of the cinema myself. I had an early screening of Pan's Labyrinth, like an early morning screening. And I usually watch that in October because it's like an October watch for me. But since it's showing at the movie theaters, I'm going to go see it at the theaters.
Awesome.
What about you? What have you been watching recently?
As a matter of fact, I watched Sorcerer here a few days ago, thanks to you. And I'd also watched a Mira Nair. Have you ever heard of her?
What is it?
She's an Indian director. She did The Namesake and Monsoon Wedding.
I've heard of Monsoon Wedding. I know that's are those both Criterions?
Monsoon Wedding is, The Namesake isn't, although it should be. And I just watched her first film, which is called Salaam Bombay, which is it's very like 400 Blows kind of reminiscent. It's all about this one specific kid, and he ends up in the Bombay streets, and then kind of to survive, does all these like different odd jobs and resorts to other things. It's a really incredible film.
Well, I do love 400 Blows, and is it along the lines of something like that? Bicycle Thieves, Pather Panchali kind of?
Well, yeah, definitely. And as a matter of fact, yeah, she used actual street kids for the movie, and it's like what she did is she took them all to this actors workshop.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, it was really cool. Really cool. Yeah. As a matter of fact, it's like I watched the movie itself, and then I went back and watched the movie with her commentary track.
That's always good. I love getting that context, especially that. I mean, I think that's why we're like, especially with something like Criterion or any of these boutique labels that we like to follow. I mean, obviously there's some standard releases of things that have some pretty great special features and commentaries on them as well. But I don't know. I've recently been trying to savor more of my experiences. If I really liked a film, I want to watch like the special features, but I also want to watch or listen to the commentary, and I just get so much more context. It's always amazing to do that.
Definitely.
Yeah. What do you think of Sorcerer?
Really liked it, especially the ending. I mean, like I said, you can kind of course compare and contrast it to The Wages of Fear, which I had watched here a few months ago, and and that blew me away. And I'd just been meaning to always watch Sorcerer and never got around to it. And then when you were talking about it, that kind of pushed me into that direction. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to watch it. And I can kind of see a lot of people's criticism of how, the beginning, it's like kind of the introduction of like all four of the characters, and that kind of starts out kind of slow, but it's sort of once that you kind of get the introduction, the movie really just kind of jumps along.
Yeah, I think that like a good contrast to Wages of Fear is maybe with Wages of Fear, obviously you already have the setting, and it's almost, I mean, the pacing in that movie is almost perfect in Wages of Fear because it's
totally
like slow almost the entire time, obviously with some explosive moments in it that are well timed, of course. And it's the same thing with Sorcerer, but I feel like Sorcerer is definitely trying. I think William Friedkin tried to do his own thing and like try to maybe piece together maybe a little bit more of that background to where it's like, all right, where are we headed now with all this stuff. So, but I like them both quite a bit. So
I do too. Well, although I'm a little bit more, I guess, of course, what we talked about, I love the Tangerine Dream score.
Yeah, Tangerine Dream. Geez, I need to and I can't believe they're still working.
Well, I think there's only one original member left.
Yeah. I was. What was their latest album? I'm trying to remember back in the day when I worked at the record store. I remember near the end of my record store days that they had just came out with a new record, in like the 2010s.
I don't know if they've been doing any new material. I think I know they've reissued a lot of their early catalog. But as far as like new music, I'm not aware of that. I know they've done like a lot of like live in Berlin or live in Paris or stuff like that. But yeah, I mean,
but yeah, they're iconic, and they've made definitely a lot of great music scores.
A lot of great scores. Scores.
Well, awesome. That sounds like some great watching. Are you have anything planned for the coming September or October months?
To try and watch all the movies and box sets that I've been laying around and I haven't got around to watching.
Don't look.
And unfortunately, it's like one thing. It's like, oh, I need to watch this, and I'm like, oh, I want to get this movie. I want to get this movie. It's like you acquire more stuff. It's like, why don't you watch the stuff you already have?
It's a disease. We can't kick
it. But then it's like, yeah, when you hear about, like I said, when you talking about Sorcerer, and it's like when you hear a movie, they're like, well, I need to get that, and you're like, oh, I got to get that.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, we're all feeding each other's addictions, but I think it's such a great addiction though too, because I feel like it's all in like the pursuit of knowledge and then also experience, and so
sharing information, definitely.
Yeah, so I love it, and I'm sure a lot of people who are watching this like it too. So, for the people who are new to this, the film journey, we like to explore my guests' kind of journey through films, going from their earliest memories, which will be my first question, all the way up to where they're at now. So the first question will be, what is your earliest movie memories?
Okay, since I grew up in a small town, there really wasn't a whole lot to do especially in the summers, other than go to the swimming pool or go to the movie theater. And there were two movie theaters in my town. One was probably about a 10 or 15 minute drive from my house. And there was one that had just gotten built, probably when I was like in grade school. And it was about a 10-minute walk from my house. So I would go there, if I wasn't going to the swimming hole. And, I think I'm just trying to think of all the movies that I saw there. I mean, probably Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, Close Encounters, probably Jaws, Cannonball Run, Smoking the Bandit.
You never went to the swimming pool after Jaws, right?
No, I still did. I wasn't really scared of the water, but
still, you're like, well, I can see in there with the chlorine, maybe not so much on the eyes, but
Donna, had the theme.
Did everyone at the pool, like who had seen it, like do any Jaws related things at the time, you think?
God, you're really trying to make me remember stuff from a long time ago. I'm sure they probably did. Oh, also, there was a drive-in movie theater, and I actually went there once with a friend of the family. We saw Revenge of the Pink Panther.
Oh wow!
So that was kind of an experience to be at a drive-in movie theater. And then I think about a year or two after we saw it, they closed the drive-in down. So, but I at least got that experience.
Yeah, drive-ins are great, and I know that there's a couple around me about an hour away or so in some smaller towns, but they're definitely like something that is very unique and something that I hope never goes away, honestly, fully, because it's definitely of a different time for sure. So I guess moving from those early theater days into, I guess, your teenage years and into young adulthood, what were some standouts there? Is there any movie memory that like sticks out with you?
Well, definitely there's one that's very special, close to my heart, is when Wrath of Khan was when it came out on opening day. My dad was, I don't know if he would admit it or not, but he might have been a Trekkie. I'm not sure. and it was opening day for Wrath of Khan, and he had the day off, and I was like, well, hey, well, let's go see it, me and you. And we went to the theater, and there was just tons of people there, and I just kind of remember him kind of quipping, saying, what are all these people doing here? And I'm just like, I was trying to tell him, like, Dad, they're Trekkies, that's what they're here for. So we saw that, and then we also saw Voyage Home, saw that together. And then I also remember us going to see granted, the movie at the time was called Victory. Do you remember that?
What did it become?
It was called Escape to Victory, but it was originally titled Victory. It's Michael Caine, Sylvester Stallone, and Pele. It's,
yeah,
I still have.
I remember it, but I have never seen it.
It's it's of the time, it was a good movie, but it's like when you kind of watch it now, you're just like, yeah, some of that didn't hold up. As a matter of fact, Bill Simmons does a rewatchables, and that was one of the movies that they did, and they just talk about how, yeah, it's like, isn't it interesting during like the soccer play, you never see Michael Caine, because like I think he was like 40 something at that time. And then there's all kinds of stories about Sylvester Stallone. They kind of had to teach him how to be a goalkeeper.
He's constantly trying to learn new things. I mean, obviously, I've watched those Expendable films in his latter years, which I love.
Yeah, this was like his heyday. This was like right after Rocky.
Rocky, right?
They were like right before Rocky 2, and oh god, there was just like that late 70s, early 80s. He could almost do no wrong.
Right. He was. I mean, he was definitely newer to everything at the time, so he could experiment more. So. Well,
and then also to transition, HBO was starting to kind of be a thing, and in my teenage years, and I do remember, there were some friends of mine, on the in the neighborhood, and it's like I always remember going over their house, and we were always watching. It's like it seemed like the same movie, no matter when we would watch it, was always on. I remember watching like Clash of the Titans and Beyond the Poseidon Adventure like almost constantly for like a month. And also the funny thing is to relate that to another story is Scrambled Cable, which I'm sure everybody knows about. I saw Videodrome on Scrambled Cable.
Oh wow, well, that's a double meaning.
Yeah, exactly. And there was that, and then to go when big music fan, and all I ever wanted to do when I was a kid was work in record stores. Well, I worked at this one record store in the small town I was in, and it was kind of a combo store. It was like it had music, it had books, and it had videos. Well, they had like video rentals, and like the regular videos were like 50 cents, and then the new releases were like $1.25. So after I would work a shift, I'd rent 2 movies, and then I would just watch those, when I got home, and then kind of, do the cycle of that, all over again. And then I remember in my senior high school English class, it was like the last day of class, and my teacher was like, oh, we're going to watch a movie. And I'm like, all right, cool. And she's like, we're going to watch Casablanca. And I was just like, Casablanca. I'm like, oh, a love story. And I was just like, and then I watched it, and I was just like, well,
okay.
That's going to change my mind. Well, to fast forward, it completely changed my mind, because Casablanca is like one of my favorite movies.
The last day of English class.
Yeah, and then I remember, as far as like going to the theater, and this one kind of holds a special thing to me, is Say Anything. Cameron Crowe. I love Cameron Crowe because I love the Wildlife, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, all those movies. And then I'd heard, oh, well, this is his first major motion picture that he's directing. and it had John Cusack, and love John Cusack. So I was like, okay, I'll go see this movie. So it was like opening day, and I go in, at the matinee, and I'm the only one in the theater. And this has never happened to me before or since. I've never been to a movie where I'm like the only one in the theater, and it was just this cool experience where you just feel like, wow, I have like the whole theater like to myself.
You haven't had it since then?
No, never. I've been to a bunch of terrible movies that that nobody goes see, but there's at least always one or two other people in there. Yeah, this one I was the only one there, because I remember I sat kind of like center, kind of in the middle. And then when the previews kind of started and the movie was about to start, and I kind of like looked around,
like, am I in the right place?
I know. I was just like, yeah. And then I looked around, I'm like, well, there's nobody here.
That I've seen actually a lot of movies by myself in theaters, but two of them pop up in my mind. I remember when, I can't remember what it's called. Maybe it's called The Walk. It's the Joseph Gordon-Levitt's movie that came out about him being a French tightrope walker. It was at the IMAX.
Oh yeah, about the Flying Melindas.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was called though. But yeah, I watched that in the IMAX by myself, and that was like weird because I had this entire gigantic room by myself to this movie. And then when I was in China, I actually watched Star Wars, the Rise of Skywalker by myself. I thought I was in the wrong place because it was opening night. Yeah. And I was like, it was like 8:00 or whatever over there at opening night. And I'm like, am I in the right place? And I had to go outside and talk to the concierge desk in my broken Mandarin. And I'm like, is this is this the right place? And then they're like, yeah, you're the only one. I'm like, all right. And so I watched that by myself. I mean, not a great movie or anything, but it was like a really fun experience to watch something by myself.
Isn't it so surreal? Well, I have another surreal moment. I went to go see Boys in the Hood at the theater, and of course, this was during the whole Rodney King thing. And my mom was just like, no, she was very, very hesitant to want me to go see it. So I go to the theater. I'm like, of course, I want to go see it. And I sit down, and then I have like this sharp pain in my shoulder. And it just goes down my back and to my leg. And I'm like, what the hell? So then I kind of move forward, and the next thing I know, there was a yellow jacket sitting on the back of my seat, and it stung me.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah. And of course I told my mom, and she's like, see, that's why you shouldn't have gone.
See, that's not the reason why.
I know.
Oh man. Shoot. I've never been stung by a wasp or a yellow jacket.
Not yeah. Well, I've been stung many times, but definitely not in a movie theater. Yeah, they are. Yeah, yellow jackets, red wasps. Not good.
I've been stung before. Yeah, I'm trying to even remember the last time I was stung by a bee or a wasp, but luckily it's been a while, so I'm gonna keep that. Yeah. Knock on wood. So I guess going from those experiences that you've had getting stung and stuff. What about transition into your adulthood? And to like where kind of things have gathered over the however long period of like where you're at now. Like
it's interesting, because it kind of went from, as I explained, sort of like went from music to art history, and then to film. I was an art history major for a while, and then and I mean I still watch movies, and then I guess in my art history book they'd kind of talked about certain cinema and all that, and I was kind of aware of it, but I just never really dove any further. And then I remember talking to some people about foreign films, and I thought, I was like, well, I'd never really seen a foreign film before, and I'd had the inkling of well, if I want to watch a movie with subtitles, I'll read a book. Had that, and that was kind of my thing about it. And And I really didn't see my first, foreign film until I started taking film classes. And that's kind of what brought me to, when I went back to school and I took art history classes, and then I kind of started getting into film a little bit more. I'd had just bought a DVD player and was kind of collecting DVDs. And I was like, well, I'll take this intro to film class. And as we watched the first, it was kind of an intro to like all kinds of kind of a curation of like movies like that that the professor thought that we should watch. And the foreign film that he showed us was Fellini's Amarcord. And let me tell you, that's another movie that just struck my heart, and it just blew me away. And then pretty much from that moment on, I was like, I kind of recollected back to my thought of, what if I want to watch a movie, I'll with subtitles. I'd rather just read a book. And I was like, boy, that was very ignorant of me. And I tried to get people to, I would say that you have to see this film, and then they'd say, I don't want to watch subtitles. I'm like, but you're missing out on such great cinema. And that's the thing. It's like when you see, like, especially from all the different countries, just some of the amazing cinema that you see. And it's like, yeah, I've kind of gone through these, these different genres, like, like the Italian neorealism, the Japanese New Wave, kind of the Far East cinema, the Soviet cinema, and all that. And you're just like, it's like a totally new world that you didn't know that it existed. And then I started, when I started taking film classes, in the intro to film class, we had to do a paper on, I think it was like, we had to pick a director. And I was kind of him and hawing around. And then I do remember that the professor's like, well, if you want to do a paper, you've got to have, it'd be best if you find a director where there's a volume of books available to where that you can, and I pretty much want to say, I think he suggested Kurosawa to me. So then I was like, okay. So then, and this is when I was kind of unaware of Criterion. And then I was like, all right, well, I go on Amazon. I'm like, okay, I want to get some movies so I can start writing about them. So I ordered at that time all that was available, which was Seven Samurai, Yojimbo, Senjuro, and High and Low. And this was like the very first edition of the Seven Samurai. And I remember it was like a single disc. And I remember I watched it, I think once. And then I tried to watch it again, and it wouldn't play. So, and I've had a few discs that's happened to, very, very rarely.
Right.
So I don't know if there was just too much information on it that it just couldn't read it.
One disc, right?
So
DVD too,
yeah.
right?
What's that?
Was it a DVD?
Yeah, it was a DVD.
Yeah. So a one disc 4-hour movie on a DVD. Yeah, that might be something. So. Well.
And so I wrote the paper of that, and then I started taking more film classes, and this will be probably one of the best film classes I ever had. It was an auteur theory film class, and we had two directors that, first half we, did one director, and then the second half we did another director. And the two directors of note were David Lynch and David Cronenberg.
The Davids.
Yes, it was utterly amazing. It was such a fun class. And then after that, I took a film theory class, and that pretty much opened my eyes even more to, we watched Renoir's Rules of the Game.
Great.
Last year, Marion Bod. Those are the two that stick out in my mind. I can't remember really any of the other film classes I took, other films that we saw, but those are the ones that really stuck with me. And then I took a Western film class where we watched nothing but Westerns, so that was pretty cool. And man,
That solidified it for you. Just going to
pretty much took it from there.
So has it been that way ever since, or has there been like an evolution with the way you collect anything, or how you watch a lot of these movies? Because obviously those were your first exposures to a lot of those classic movies.
Definitely, the Criterion definitely that kind of opened it up, and I guess it's just kind of interesting how I came to see, speaking of what you're collecting and other labels, and it's like I kind of thought about it, and it's like, especially with the blind buys, because I'm pretty much all about blind buys.
Me too.
And I just looked at it. It's like there's 4 labels that I think that I can truly trust what they're going to put out. Is like Eureka, especially with the Senses of Cinema series that they have.
Mm-hmm.
Arrow. Kino Lorber definitely of late. They have really been up in their game for sure. And of course Criterion, and it's like I know what those labels, I know that I can trust them, and if it's a movie, and of course I'll do a little bit of research on it. It's like I'll read,
as you should, everyone
read the backs and just kind of see. It's like, well, and if you kind of know about the director, and just like do a little bit of research, and of course, your channel and all the other people's channels, kind of get what they say. It's a lot to kind of, people that you've kind of grown to trust their tastes, and if they're like-minded or not, or if you're just willing to, kind of take a chance on it. And it's just, incredible stuff to, just to kind of come across. And it's I don't know, it's I guess I kind of equate looking for stuff like record digging,
right, yeah,
and also
like a good cover could really just draw you in with that, or just recommendations from like other artists that are similar. You can just keep going down these different rabbit holes, right?
Yes. And yeah, I don't know. It's just, I guess I'm just listening to podcasts, and talking to other cinephiles and all that about what they like, and just kind of just taking chances on stuff, and also to me it's like about trying to turn people on to new stuff that that they may not have heard of, and just like the exchange of information and everything.
Yeah, it's definitely what it's all about, and I'm glad that all of this has kind of exploded, and obviously we're in the sphere that we're in right now, which is fantastic. But I guess shifting gears a little bit, and talking about so many of these movies, do you have any particular favorites that have been a mainstay with you, or is there anything that has stuck with you for just a short while as well, that are some of your favorites?
Definitely. Well, of course, I have to be prepared. So, I mean, definitely my top 5 movies are Casablanca. Number 2, let me go to my cheat sheet here. Umberto D. Icaru, Intimate Strangers. It's a French film from like 2002. And another film, a Sergio Leone film that it has, like, whoever you talk to, it has so many different titles. It's called Duck You Sucker. Which,
right, with the I kind of think of what's his face? Oh, who's the main?
James Coburn and
Coburn and who's literally right there. It's like right there.
Now, I forgot his name, but it's like, yeah, it's Duck You Sucker, and they said, well, I guess Sergio Leone thought, oh, well, that's what Americans say. That's an American, term, and they were like, no, not really. So then they changed it to Fistful of Dynamite to kind of coincide with all the the Man with No Name trilogy. But the title that I like best is the Italian title, which is called Gio la Testa, which means kind of keep your head down, and I guess kind of the transition of Leone films. I mean, I watched to kind of harken back to Bogart. There was one time when my parents were like went to go visit my grandmother in spring break, so I had the house to myself. And this is when I was working at the record store video store, and I had the weekend off, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to rent movies. I'm just going to watch movies all weekend long. So I rented. This is when I was really starting to get into Bogart. So I rented Casablanca, Key Largo, To Have and Have Not, Maltese Falcon, and I think it was just those four. And then I watched Fistful of Dollars, For a Few Dollars More, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Well, my transition of Leone is like, I love The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I was like, oh, that is like the ultimate Leone film. Well, then when I took film classes, my professor was like saying, you need to see Once Upon a Time in the West. So
Yes.
that had just come out on DVD, and I watched it, and I was just like, whoa, this is the ultimate Leone movie. Well, then fast forward another 10 years, then I watched Fistful of Dynamite, Gila Testa, Ducky Sucker. Mm-hmm. Then I was like, whoa, this is the best Leone movie. And it harkens back to like what we were talking about, the Tangerine Dream score. Ennio Morricone, oh my God.
Yeah, anything Ennio Morricone does, I'm usually pretty game for that.
The Gila Testa soundtrack score, I mean, every theme that he has, as I mentioned to you before we started recording, it's like when you know something's good is when you start to get the goose pimples. Mm-hmm. With that score, there was like 2 or 3 themes that just made me just goose pimple. It was incredible.
Well, those are all excellent movies, and I like how eclectic the mix is too. And that's a good breadth of films there. Do you have a particular favorite decade of movies that you like to go through?
I knew you were going to ask this, and I racked my brain, and I don't know. It could be like maybe 1 minute I might watch 50s movies or 40s mm-hmm. or 60s or 70s or 80s. I guess because I'm more I guess genre and kind of mood driven as opposed to decades. I don't know. I guess I don't really think about when I'm watching a movie. It's like what decade it's from. I know that's a total cop out on my part.
I can adjust the question to the genre. Like, what is there any particular genres that you like to favor more so?
There I go. I'm gonna get another cop out.
Because I know you mentioned westerns a little bit.
Yeah. Like I said, it's over the summer, it's like I was going through Japanese New Wave, Soviet films. Italian neorealism, the Japanese masters. It's weird what I come across. I don't know.
That's a fair answer.
I don't know. I guess to actually give an answer, I'd probably say the Italian neorealism probably. I mean, especially when when I went through a thing, and I just started soaping up just any Italian director that I could, and I'm gonna go to visual aids now, and I want to show this book right here, which if you're into Italian cinema, me and my friend, we call this the Bible. If you want to know anything about Italian films, this without a doubt is the book to go to. There's like 3 different editions of it. There's one it's red, which I think is the first edition, and I think it only goes up to the 1970s. And this one that I have is the second edition, which goes up to the 80s. And I think there's another one with a completely different cover that goes up to, I want to say the 90s, but that just, I mean, he goes totally in depth. I mean, of course, you have like Fellini,
Rossellini,
and jeez, all of those directors, and I'm utterly speechless. I can't even think of all the other Italian film directors right now.
Well, I mean, there's a lot, and that's the cool thing. I think to your answer, I always like when obviously when I ask that question, it's hard for people to answer it because I feel like a lot of us kind of have similar answers in the sense that we are just so enamored by all of it, and we're all mood driven to the different types of I guess rabbit holes that we can go down. And I'm the same way. It's like right now I'm looking at my queue. I have some Hammer films over there. I have ESPN 30 for 30s next to it. Next to it is the Nightmare on Elm Street films that I'm watching right now, and Eric Rohmer's over there. So like I'm literally all over the place here with my moods, and so I can definitely understand that answer, and I think a lot of people who are watching this can understand that too. So I guess something that I could ask is it's something that you might know, but what are some of your favorite actors, or do you have anyone that you like to watch a lot of their work in particular?
Oh, definitely. Well, of course, Bogart, Toshiro Mifune, and I have to tell a story about that particular actor. Is there in Dallas, there is a theater called the Texas Theater, which has historical significance to it, which I don't know if anybody is aware of. Do you know the significance of the Texas Theater? Okay,
nope.
That is the theater that they caught Lee Harvey Oswald at after the JFK.
Oh, right. Yeah, now I do know what it is.
So yeah, they closed it. I know they closed it down, and I think they just started. They opened it back up maybe 5-10 years ago. Maybe, I don't know. I'm a little leery on that. I know a couple people that work there, and there was a Mifune documentary that came out called The Last Samurai, and I was like, I really want to go see that. So I went there, and this kind of maybe a little side story that goes with it. And as the previews were going, there was this one movie, and I was watching it, and it's like, wow, this looks pretty cool. It's like it's kind of had these like musical elements, and it's kind of song and dance, and sort of like a fairy tale. And the movie of note was this movie right here.
Oh, the Lure, yeah. Mm-hmm. That movie's crazy.
Like I said, I saw it, and I was just like, okay. I was like, wow, this looks really cool. Just by the preview. So I was like, okay. Later, and it was playing at the Texas Theater, and I went to go see it. And this is definitely a movie I try to turn as many people as I can onto.
It's a ton of fun.
Especially the cover. The cover is really cool. It is a retelling of The Little Mermaid, and it has elements of horror, also musicals, and a little bit of kind of feminist cinema. And it's definitely worth a watch if you like that kind of that modernist sort of.
So it's an amalgam. It's an amalgam for sure.
Definitely. But to go off to go that, like Mifune. Let me go to my notes again. Tatsuya Nadakai, who is incredible in a film called When a Woman Ascends the Stairs, which is another Japanese director that I wish Criterion would get more of his stuff, is Naruse, who is it's like, that's the only film that's in the collection. And I know there's an Eclipse series of like his silent films, and I think maybe Eureka had like a box set of his stuff, but it's all out of print. And he's another guy that I wish, I mean, domestically, I wish they would bring more of his stuff. I mean, I would really like to see it. I mean, he's great in all the the samurai films. And Robert Shaw, who, I mean, it's just, I mean, in Jaws alone, he's also great. Have you ever seen the Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3?
The original?
The original, yes.
Yeah. I have actually only seen the remake.
Oh yeah, so, yeah. You definitely need to see the original. It's really good.
I know.
But he's the kind that's like, he just eats up. No matter how, I mean, if a movie's, he can
still deliver it. Yeah,
is incredible. As a matter of fact, there's one movie that I'd forgotten. Have you ever heard of a movie called The Dam Busters?
The Dam Busters. Mm-hmm.
Okay, have you ever seen the movie? Pink Floyd's The Wall.
Yeah, of course. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, there's like clips of that movie in it, and for the longest time, I'd heard so much about it. And I'm like, and then finally I got around to it. I'm like going, you know what? I want to get this movie. Well, I finally got it. The British actors, have the leads, have no idea who they are. But oh my God, I was like going, oh, there's a pilot. That's Robert Shaw. Hey, there's a guy from Bridge on the River Kwai. Oh my God, that's him. Oh, there's the guy, Patrick McGowan. He's even in it. He plays like a guard. And I was like, oh my God, there's all these British actors. Like, this is like their first movie, and I think it's based like on a true story. And I think on the back of the Blu-ray it says the ending of the movie George Lucas used for the Death Star run. So I was like, okay, that's interesting. So after 40 years, finally I got around to seeing a movie that that I hadn't seen. And I'm just trying to think of some of the other Robert Shaw's films that he was in, that just incredible. And also, I know a lot of people love Harry Dean Stanton, and especially the movies that he's in, especially Paris, Texas. Everybody talks about how great he is in that role. Well, there's another actor I think that's kind of paralleling him. It's like you kind of don't take note of, and that's Warren Oates. And I knew you talked about it on your 70s thing, but he's so good in Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia. Also, a movie that he's so very understated in is Two Lane Blacktop. That's he is so good in that. And I guess I'm not because I know you said actors, and I thought, well, you know what? I don't want to pigeonhole it just to actors. I was like, well, I definitely want to mention some female actresses.
Oh yeah, when I say actors, I meant like the blanket term.
I know, it's so funny.
Yeah.
That's kind of
I try to distinguish
the gender.
Yeah.
But I would say there is a female lead, a Japanese female lead, who's also in When a Woman Ascends the Stairs. It's Hideko Takamine, and she is incredible in that movie. But she is also great in a movie called 24 Eyes, and she plays like a school teacher. I definitely recommend seeing that film. And then there's a French actress called Sandrine Bonnaire. She was in Intimate Strangers, and she was also in Agnes Varda's Vagabond. That was like one of her first film roles. I don't know if you saw the.
I saw the Varda, little Varda. Yeah.
And she was in that. She was also in her first film role, which is called, I believe it's, if I butcher the French, it's called Anu Amour, which is Maurice Piliot, I think is his name, which is a movie where she's just kind of this, she's kind of just goes against everything that her parents say. And She like kind of sleeps around and stuff like that. Although Vagabond is a pretty heartbreaking film, and but she's young, but she's amazing in that. And then there is a Russian actress, and I know I'm going to totally butcher her name. It's Tatiana Somolova. She's in Cranes Are Flying and Letter Never Sent, which, like I said, when I was going through my Soviet cinema phase, and those films just, I mean, she was just really incredible in that. I mean, Letter Never. I mean, that's weird. It's like this, to kind of go off on a tangent. The Soviet cinema, like if you look at it, a lot of it's like really kind of bleak, the outlook. But there was one film that I saw called Ballad of a Soldier, that it was really this kind of heartwarming tale, you know, about a soldier who kind of goes on leave, and you see all these little adventures that he's on, and he's on a train, and then he like falls in love with a girl. But I won't spoil the ending. But that's wow, I really went off on a tangent here. Yeah, oh God, when Come and See came out.
So I haven't seen it. Still have not seen it. Make that record straight. I haven't. I'm gonna take my time, and I'm gonna wait till a good moment where I'm either really not feeling that great or feeling pretty great, and then wanting to watch.
Yeah, so, I know, and I know we kind of talked about The Human Condition. That's definitely a movie that I think I tried to watch it. I mean, because God, that movie's, that whole trilogy is 9 hours long.
Mm-hmm.
I think I took breaks in between, because each movie you watch is a gut punch. It is a gut punch.
That's what I heard. That's another one that I'm waiting.
But it is brilliant. I know you talked about Decalogue and
which is Kieslowski. Yeah.
Oh, that's Kieslowski. Okay, I'm getting confused. Wait, Tarkovsky is
Stalker, Solaris.
Stalker, yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, him, I'm like, I know a lot of people talked about him, and I kind of almost feel like I really got to be in the right frame of mind. And yeah, we'll probably talk about Kieslowski. That's another one that you
I do love Kieslowski.
The Colors trilogy, which really kind of blew me away. Going back, thinking of that, all these things are starting to jog my memory now. Talking about Kieslowski's Colors, there is I don't know. It's weird because I've seen him in a French movie and I've seen him in an Italian movie, and I'm like, I don't know if he's Italian or if he's French, but he played the judge in Red. Jean-Louis Trintignant, I think that's his name. Oh my God, he was really good in that. There are two other movies of his that he is incredible in, and it's two Italian films. One called Il Sorpasso,
which I do enjoy that movie quite a bit.
Oh, he's so good in that.
A lot of fun.
As a matter of fact, yeah, Alexander Payne was saying that's how he kind of based Sideways on that film.
Yeah, it's a good road movie, for sure.
Yes, love that. That's another movie that it just kind of hits home on me. And he was also in a great movie called The Conformist, which it's one of those movies that I think, I want to say, I don't know if it's like on Rotten Tomatoes or if it's like on IMDb. I think its score is either like a 90 or 100.
Oh wow,
it's pretty up there.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I still haven't seen it though.
You should watch it. That's another director. Oh, and I'm blanking on the director's name right now. Yeah, all his films like Last Emperor.
Bertolucci.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. My God. Oh jeez.
Yeah. It's just all these are these awesome rabbit holes that we have that we just keep
Oh,
going down.
I'm totally going to I'm totally going to tangent on the talking about, and I've kind of noticed it, of course, going to like the difference in the Criterion, the DVDs and the Blu-rays. Whereas, like I know the Last Emperor, I have like the 3-disc version, which is, kind of bound, which looks really, really cool. And another one is the Walkabout. On the disc of that, each disc has like moons on it, which I don't know. Kind of the minutia of it. Maybe I kind of like that. And then I want to say, I think the Bicycle Thieves DVD has like an actual booklet with it. And also the Two Lane Blacktop has like a booklet with it, whereas I think the Blu-ray doesn't. And for instance, like the Videodrome, I like the DVD because it's like the actual size of like a video cassette. I don't know. Maybe that's just.
No. I mean, I get that because I mean, a lot of the reasons we get these things are for the booklets or for the presentation or the care that it is put into these editions. So I get that. And honestly, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I know. It's like it should be just like, I mean, if some people I know like don't like the bare bones, they're like, oh, I want more. And it's like, I guess you can kind of understand, because it's like you got to think, with that presentation, it's like a lot of work goes into that. And I know people really, one of their beefs are, oh, well, the price is, well, it's like you got to think, well, it's like, especially if you watch like the kind of like the restoration, wow, the restoration videos where they're like doing all the scans, like from like the movies that have like all the dirt and like all the care that goes into that. It's like, yeah, that's time consuming, and you got to think, well, doing the artwork, you got to, pay
commission that
person.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then if you're going to have extras, it's like, well, you got to, someone's got to write either an essay or someone's got to put together a film crew to interview the people. And then you have to set up a time, because schedules, and all that stuff. And it's like, it's like, sometimes it's irritating.
We have it really good.
Understand that.
Yeah.
And I just, going off on just the tangent. I'm zipping back and forth here. And it's yeah. I guess just talking about the labels.
No, I get it. I was gonna say, just based on that a little bit, I think sometimes maybe because we're such in that renaissance of the amount of care that's being put into all these different things, sometimes we don't understand that this was not really a thing, 10, 15 years ago. I mean, it was there, and a few companies did it, but it was not. It was a lot more special, I suppose. And so I suppose maybe we should also just be thankful for what we have and what's coming out, and not get overzealous over the small details of maybe like, oh, this is a bare bones release. I mean, I can think of a few labels that maybe release a little bit less than usual, but I'm just happy to have the disc. And sometimes maybe just the commentary itself is good enough for me. Yeah, I don't know. You can tackle this in a lot of different ways, but you brought up some good points there. So
I definitely want to relate this one story, talking about collecting. And I know, like with a lot of the Criterion stuff, and then it goes out of print. And I just wanted to share this because, as you might have noticed, I am a huge Kurosawa fan, and I wanted the Criterion DVD of the Ron, and I had gotten, to definitely have it. I had the Studio Canal version, and at this one record store, they had a lot of the Criterion stuff, and then they had that, and I just never bought it, and then it went out of print. So probably for the last 10, 15 years, I've been looking for that edition. And of course, you go on eBay, of course, I'm not, Are you going to pay 80 to $100 for it? Probably not. So there's a used bookstore that I usually frequent that I've been very fortunate to find a lot of gems. And one day I went over to their Criterion selection, and staring me straight in the face was this.
Amazing.
My holy grail that I'd been searching for like 15 years to find.
Years.
And it was at a fairly affordable price. I had also found a couple of the Fellini titles that were out of print, like La Strada and Knights of Cabiria. And I just feel that when it comes to that stuff, it's like, you know, that was meant to find me. It definitely was a journey, you know, because you're like searching and searching for it, and you're like, you know, I really want it, but I really don't want to pay $80 for it. You know, how, you know, kind of testing your patience.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, then eventually, you know, it paid off, and it's just, I've been so fortunate and lucky that I've actually, you know, got to find those titles, plus another little story that I want to mention. This one band that I really love, this songwriter, he wrote a book called Music, What Happened, which he talked about each year of his life, you know, some of the music that he really, really liked. And I'd been looking for this book, that book of his, and I found it at that used bookstore. And I went home and, you know, I just kind of, you know, just put it on the shelf. And then a couple of days later, then I opened it up to the first page, and I'm like, okay, this is weird. And then I was like, is that his signature? So then I did a little bit of investigating and talking to like some of his former bandmates, and he was like, yeah, I'm like 90% sure that's his signature. So I was just like, oh my God, I have a signed book of his. So
that's amazing. I mean, that's the cool thing about what we love, is that we get to find those things. If we go, like you said, if we go searching for it and the time is right, then, you know, these things pop up. So speaking of all those directors that you mentioned, if you could decide to be in any particular director's films, who would you be in?
I knew you were going to ask this question as well. And I mean, my cop-out answer would probably be Cronenberg. I mean, there's so many directors. That's, again, I can name my 5 favorite directors. You know, Cronenberg, Renoir, Ozu, Kurosawa. There's 2 directors that I really love to bring to people's attention. I know a lot of people have been talking about Korean cinema, especially with
Bong Joon-ho
Parasite.
And
Well, exactly. And that's the other thing. I was very fortunate to. Who's the guy that did the Vengeance trilogy?
The Park Chan-wook.
Yeah, him. Okay, yeah. I have a friend that lived in South. Well, he still lives there in South Korea, and about 10 years ago, he sent me 2 DVDs for my birthday. One was Memories of Murder, and the other was Lady Vengeance. And
oh, wow.
oh my god, I was pretty much hooked. So then when I saw that Memories of Murder was on the Criterion, I was like, gotta get it. And I need to get that Vengeance trilogy so bad. I've been dragging my
behind
feet.
Me. Right.
But to go back to what I was talking about, there's
yes.
a South Korean director, and I don't know. I've never really heard a lot of people talk about him. And sadly, he passed away this past year from the pandemic, or from the dreaded COVID word. And he's Ki-Duk Kim. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
I know the name. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he to start. It's like my sister. She would go and rent videos, and she rented this one film of his called Spring summer, winter, fall,
Yeah, I have that. I
spring.
have that. Yeah,
Ugh,
I have the DVD over there.
incredible film. Well, and then she let me borrow it, and I watched it, and I was just like, this film is it is magnificent. I'm like, how did you hear about this? She's like, I was like, did somebody like tell you about it? Did you see? She's like, no, I just saw it on the shelf, picked it
Look
up,
cool.
looked at the back, read the synopsis, and thought I'd watch it. So then I watched that, and then I watched his movie after that called Three Iron, which the thing about him that I really truly love is, especially with Three Iron, the two main protagonists, the male and female leads, they don't utter a word throughout the whole film. I think the girl screams once, but that's it. Other than that, they don't say a word. And it's definitely kind of like a lot of the Asian cinema. It's very meditative. And
A lot of nonverbals.
I saw those two films, and I was just like, I have to delve in on this guy's stuff. So then I found The Bow, which is an amazing film. And then he had his first film. Well, there's a movie just called The Isle, which the thing about him is he's had a couple little things of controversy surrounding him, and not The Isle, but The Isle is a great movie, but there's kind of a very cringeworthy scene, especially if you're not ready for it. It'll catch you. It'll catch you off guard. And that's pretty much all I'll say. But I really want to get into some more of his canon, but he's just a director that I don't really hear a whole lot of people talk about, and he's just utterly amazing. And the other director that I know a lot of people don't really talk about that I wish they would is Lena Wertmuller. Her 70s movies, can't touch them. They're incredible. And how I came about her is there, and this is really strange. There's a Richard Pryor movie called Which Way Is Up, and it's based on Lena Wertmuller's Seduction of Mimi. And I'd heard so much about that, because I love that movie, and I was like, I really want to watch this movie. And then finally, I got around to, of course, Kino Lorber has that collection of her films, and that box set it's got Seduction of Mimi, Love and Anarchy, which, oh boy, is heartbreaking, and then another film called All Screwed Up, which is kind of an ensemble. And then she has Swept Away, which I don't know if you've seen which I hear is terrible, the terrible Guy Ritchie Madonna version.
Mm.
Yeah, everybody says that. I'm going, oh, they totally butchered that movie. Swept Away is a really good movie. And then, of course, Seven Beauties, which she became.
I have that.
Yeah.
So
that's an excellent film.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's there's a lot of directors that I need to see a lot of their works, honestly. But I guess this leads me to the question that kind of culminates to kind of where you're at now. How is this passion that you've had with all these movies and all these films kind of impact your worldview today and the interactions that you make with other people?
It has opened doors to sides of, especially watching international cinema, different parts of the world that you were very unaware of, things that have been going on in the country, that you were very unaware of. And, finding, like-minded people, like yourself to interact with, that you're like, well, hey, this movie, hey, well, yeah, I really like this movie. Hey, well, I really like this director. Hey, I really like this actor, hey, and then you wind up talking about it for 4 hours.
Right. So I guess, do you have any final words for people who are watching it at home about kind of your film journey, just in general?
That it's been a slow but long journey. Like I said, to kind of go back to, I was into music. I watched movies. I was very unaware of certain directors, other countries of film, and kind of went through, different places that kind of brought me to where I am now. And kind of, I don't know where that takes me. And I guess to coin two of my favorite films, the Umberto D and Icaro, which has the common theme of the lonely old man, not knowing what his future is. I don't know. I'm just
enjoying the ride.
Just trying to, I guess.
Well, I think those are, I think that speaks to a lot of us, and just continuing on with the things and the experiences that we have. And luckily, these are the movies that we watch run the gamut of the different types of emotions that we can go through and experience as a culture or cultures that aren't in front of us. But it has that human experience, which I think is, it's worth it. So I just wanted to say thank you, Frank, for joining. Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Do you have any final words to say, or like where people can find you?
Sure. People can find me on Twitter at just Frank Getz, Getz, because what Frank wants, Frank gets.
Nice.
I had to make that lame joke.
Well, I make a Jones joke all the time.
Well, so, I would figure everybody would. The Frank wants what Frank gets. I haven't heard that one in a while, but usually the one that I get is the old school. A lot of people, Frank the Tank. So yeah, you can find me there. I would definitely be happy to interact. Music, movies, sports, whatever. I feel I'm a Renaissance man. You can find me on Instagram at more blank than Frank. You can see all the, all my latest acquisitions and my beautiful photography. And or you can find me on Letterboxd at Gentleman Frank. As I would say, my high art, low art, whatever that you can find me there. I definitely would love to interact, and I would definitely love to shout out, especially your channel, sharing your knowledge and our conversations. And definitely want to shout out to Stephanie at Movie Chatter. Definitely turned me on to lots of films, and Cinema Dave, and of course their love and my love for Jaws. I wanted to wear my Jaws T-shirt, but I was like, no, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna sport the Kurosawa, and of course Elliot Cohen for his channel. I mean, he turned me on to Kess. I know he loves that movie, and I know he was kind of absent for a while, and I'm really glad that he's gotten back on his channel. And of course Dice K, who how we talked, you think you know a lot about movies and music and all that. You think you have a nice wealth of knowledge, and then you come upon somebody who kind of almost makes you feel insecure, and you're just like, you know what, I don't know Jack. His film knowledge just utterly amazes me.
Me too. Well, everyone who's been watching, I'll be linking those links for Frank down in the description down below. So if you want to interact with him or just follow him on his journeys, like in Letterboxd and on Instagram and Twitter, I'll be linking those in the description down below. I want to say thanks once again to Frank for joining me on this film journey. It was a lot of fun. And if any of you are interested who are watching this right now, if you want to be in a film journey yourself, make sure to reach out to me via Twitter or Instagram. I'll be linking that in the description down below for myself as well. Yeah, we'll just be continuing with our film journeys because all of us have our own unique stories to tell, and I love hearing them, and I love interacting with each of you. So thank you so much for watching this video. Continue the conversation down below, and we'll be able to interact with you there in the comment section. I hope you like this video. I hope you can share it, hit the notification bell, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. I'm not jonesing around.